The movie begins with a rusty RV speeding through the forest at night. A man named Pfluger with a headlamp and a shovel gets out. He digs up a human bone from an old Navajo burial site. Something blasts him badly, and he ignores the shock and drives off with a wicked smile. He must be up to something. Now we see Kelly, who's being harassed by some jocks from his school outside his shop. They mock him because he has a condition called pica, which makes him eat non-edible things. His friend and his longtime crush, Dominique, defends him, but of course the bullies will be bullies. They have to tease people like it's their major responsibility. They dump Kelly's head into a garbage bin, filming the whole thing on their phones. The next day, Kelly feels sick and he eats a pencil eraser from his locker, which has Trash Boy scrawled on it in huge white letters. The video of the jocks prank goes viral in the school, and everyone makes fun of Kelly. His diet of ramen noodle tops and erasers worsens his health. Concerned, Kelly's mom contacts a doctor, but the doctor says he needs mental help, not just physical care. Now we see that Pfluger tried to heal people and proved his magic is real, even though he pretends to be some physician that cures people. Sadly, he exploits his powers for money, charging masses for healing. Pfluger invites an old woman to the front to show off, but shockingly he heals her. She throws away her walker, exclaiming it's a miracle. The whole crowd applauds. After they leave, a Navajo man named Red Elk approaches Pfluger. Red Elk tells him he knows Pfluger took his powers from an old grave. He cautions Pfluger that the magic will backfire and he'll die because of it. Pfluger ignores Red Elk's warning. He was approached by Kelly's mom to heal her son too. Later that day, Pfluger shows up at Kelly's house to heal him, but it wasn't his day. As soon as he touches him, he died out of the natural death, but he just transfers his powers to Kelly. With his new powers, Kelly becomes confident and much healed. He actually noticed how his bruises were healed automatically. That day, he confronts those bullies, and when the bully tries to punch him, he ends up injuring himself. In anger, the bully tries to hit Kelly with a plank of wood and knocks himself out. Okay, was it like every action has a reaction? On his way home, Kelly lands a job at a nearby pizza place and wonders how to use his powers to help himself and his mother. His mom discourages him from flaunting his powers too much, fearing it might cause trouble. The idea is dropped, of course. Kelly finds out that if he eats something that belongs to someone, they are affected by whatever he does to himself. In class, Dominique's hair tie slips off onto Kelly's desk. He eats the label, and after returning it, imagines intimate moments with her. Unexpectedly, both Dominique and another girl, Sarah, came to feel it, so he immediately flew away. Later, Kelly and Dominique are at a fire party when the bullies challenge him again. Kelly stands up to them, but things get heated up quickly when Gus, the football coach and father of two bullies, shows up, telling them to stop it. The bullies spot Kelly on the road after the party. They are again trying to mess with him, but they went over speed and ended up running over him. As they thought he would be harmed, instead Brett, the driver, alone is affected in the process. The other bullies flee, and Dominique and Sarah reach Kelly a few minutes later. Kelly tells Dominique what happened, and she believes him. When they go back to school, Kelly and Dominique eat rice cakes together, talking about the accident. Dominique says that the police think a faulty airbag caused the crash. Kelly and Dominique begin to develop a romantic connection. In the next scene, while disposing of the garbage at pizza place, Kelly is approached by Red Elk about his powers. Kelly admits Red Elk's doubts by telling him his original story, hurrying back to work. Later, the bullies wait for Kelly's mom to exit their trailer. They want to take revenge for their dead friend, but her mother got sick, so Kelly left to take medicine for her. The group thought it's just Kelly in there, so they pranked him by dragging the trailer off its base. The unstable trailer collapses, tearing the stove from the wall and filling it with gas. Kelly's mom is stuck inside. In her fear, she falls over a lamp, sparking and setting the gas on fire. In result, the trailer blows up. Kelly comes back in time to try saving his mom, but she's already gone. He brings her charred body outside and drops to his knees in grief. Later, Kelly lies in a hospital bed, gazing at the ceiling in shock. Unharmed but without any relatives, he'll have to enter foster care. Red Elk shows up at the hospital to tell the sheriff that Kelly has robbed some magic powers. The sheriff doesn't buy Red Elk's story, but Red Elk urges him to look for Kelly when he's ready to believe. At his mother's funeral, Kelly slips away to be alone and makes his way to Pfluger's grave. Dominique follows him, and he tells her he'll miss her but has to go into foster care. Dominique felt his pain, so she tried to comfort her with a kiss. Afterward, Kelly eats a leaf from a weird plant on Pfluger's grave and becomes severely sick. Sarah saw this, but ignored because his eating habits were known to everyone. At the funeral, Kelly was sure that his mother was murdered and suspects the jocks who bully him. Kelly is on his way to a foster home when he sees the jocks drive by, taunting him and flipping him off. Kelly flees from the car and disappears, but the sheriff follows him. Kelly figures out the jocks are going to the bay, and stalks them for vengeance. He finds them having a swim and a drink and seizes the opportunity. He ends one by consuming some of his clothing, which lets him cast a spell on him from a distance. Then, he wraps the rest of the shirt around his neck and chokes himself, causing the jock to suffocate. Kelly has to run away as another jock goes to fetch the sheriff. Later, Dominique looks out of her window. Her mom warns her to keep it closed to prevent Kelly from entering. As soon as her mom leaves, Kelly appears in the window, and Dominique tries to convince him to give up his revenge. She suggests getting the cops to confess instead. But the next day in chemistry class, when Kelly demands an apology from one of the jocks, the jock attempts to end him by splashing acid on his face. But in the end, the jock's face melts away, and Kelly quickly escapes. That night, Sarah, whose boyfriend has just died, told the other bully about what she witnessed at the funeral with Kelly eating those plants and getting ill. They realize that those plants are Kelly's weakness and decide to collect some to use against him later. Later, Kelly faces off with another jock and his dad, Gus, on the field. He snatches and eats some of his clothes, then drills himself to cripple the jock's legs. They attempt to weaken him with a tank of the green fluid from the cemetery plants, but Kelly stops his assault when Dominique pleads with him. Gus, the jock's father, however, overpowers the sheriff and grabs his weapon. The jock succeeds in spraying Kelly and making him weaker. Meanwhile, Dominique wipes off some of the fluid from Kelly to reduce its impact. The clash ends with Gus firing at Kelly's skull, but it backfires, ending Gus and the jock because Kelly still has a piece of the jock's garment in his belly. Dominique holds Kelly responsible for all the deaths and warns him to end their relationship unless he consents to go with Red Elk and undergo a ritual to detach him from the power. That night, the couple kissed each other because the ritual can be dangerous, so they tried to end the powers, but they were too strong to be ended. The only solution to sever him from the power now is to slay him. When everything was prepared, at that time the cops arrived and shot Kelly and Dominique, who were both injured by a cop's shotgun. Now the both were connected, both died, but wait. Dominique miraculously survived, so we know the powers are too strong to be ended, and they are transferred to the last person connected to the dead body. So now the whole powers were Dominique's. Thank you for being part of this story. Take care, and stay tuned for the next story.